Welcome back to Chinaland, everyone. Symphony of the Night. Well then, welcome to a new Let's Play. I will be continuing Ninja Brothers, I promise, but this is Halloween, and this is the game that I boot up every year and love to play. As I'm not very original, I will be titling my file name Alucard, and if you don't get that, you should probably watch a few more vampire movies and get back to me. Or just look at this in a mirror. Anyhow, let's journey back to 1792 and the Transylvanian countryside of Romania. Welcome to the final stage of Bloodlines. Huh. Well, we've got a Belmont with a whip. You can slide, sling the whip, do that little upper kick, and this was very confusing for me the first time I played the game since there was no Bloodlines. Well, there was a Bloodlines, but that Bloodlines was for the Sega Genesis, and this is actually related to, I believe it's called Rondo of Blood, which was released for the Tiger Graphics 16, a console I and nobody I knew owned. I didn't even know it existed at the time. Well, let's see what's upstairs. Heart. Moonrod. Bedelaire. Dark Shield. Firebrand. A hole. Ah, the shield rod. A heart refresh. Sunglasses. Power of Sire. And more hearts. There's really nothing here that Richter Belmont can actually use. Since he is a Belmont, he doesn't have the inventory that our character Alucard will have. But he can do that, and it's pretty impressive. He can also fling the cross like so. Richter is actually playable in this game in a Game Plus file, but we'll come to that, we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. I'm just gathering up hearts here so I can spam that cross at the time that I need. This game is a little bit interesting in that the fight that we're about to have with Dracula is actually going to affect our starting statistics. So the better you do in the fight, the better your stats are. It is actually possible to sort of lose the fight, and Maria Renard will actually come out and heal you. I haven't done this in a very long time, and I actually find it quite embarrassing now that I am a little bit more confident player. Either way, this is the beginning of the game, and certainly not what I expected once I actually did get to the, shall we say, game proper. And as you can see, all I can do is pause. There's no map, there's no anything at this point. Just hearts, and this. One of the things about this game is that it does have voice acting, and you're about to see it in all its glory.
Die, monster! You don't belong in this world!
It was not by my hand that I'm once again given flesh. I was called here by humans who wish to pay me tribute.
Tribute? You steal men's souls and make them your slaves.
Perhaps the same could be said of all religions.
Your words are as empty as your soul. Mankind ill needs a savior such as you.
What is a man? A miserable little pile of secrets. statue!
And thus starts the fight against Dracula. The whole miserable pile of secrets is kind of a running meme. I even saw a video recently where somebody had a character trick-or-treating at Castle Dracula, and they were dressed as a miserable pile of secrets. This part of the fight is actually very simple. Of course, this is sort of a tutorial battle. Using the cross to smack him against the face seems to be, for me at least, the most useful manner of trying to combat him. Also pay very close attention to his fire animation there, because we'll actually be seeing that again later in this episode. And not too distant, I believe. Next Sunday AD. There was a time when I could get through all of this without it taking a single point of damage, and I wish I could have done that for this Let's Play, but unfortunately I will be taking a couple of licks in a moment here. The only thing that's a little bit iffy about Richter's movement here is that in order to dodge the double fireballs, the souped up ones, he has to duck under one and jump over the other, but if you don't take your hand off the down button quick enough, he's going to do the slide animation instead. I think that's what got me, actually. And of course I really pay attention because I can already see that my health is down and I forget where I lost the health. Yay me! I believe this is actually one of the final battles in one of the Castlevanias, possibly in the aforementioned game that really didn't make a big splash. Oh, there was also an attempt to bring that to the Super Nintendo, but that was also kind of suspect.
No, it cannot be!
A picture is worth 1,000 words. It was Richter Belmont, the legendary vampire hunter who succeeded in finally ending the menace of Count Dracula, lord of the vampires who had been brought back from the grave by the dark priest Shaft. However, one night 4 years later, under the glare of a full moon, Richter mysteriously vanished. With no idea of where to begin her search, Maria Renard set out to look for him. It was then that fate intervened. Castlevania, the castle of Dracula, which is rumored to appear once every century, suddenly materialized from out of the mist as if to show her the way. Meanwhile, powerful forces were struggling for the soul of a man named Alucard. The very same Alucard who teamed up with Trevor Belmont to battle his immortal father, Count Vlad Tepster. Alucard, in order to purge the world of his own accursed bloodline, had submerged his vampiric powers and entered into what was supposed to be an eternal slumber. But now he is awake and aware of the evil once again at work in his homeland. The time is once again come for the forces of good and evil to engage in their ancient battle. Dracula's castle beckons for you, and no man can say who shall emerge victorious. Well, it's taken a little to get here, longer than one might expect, but we are finally at the proper beginning of Castlevania Symphony of the Night. So let's put our hands together for the half-blooded son of Dracula, Alucard, the badass himself. I'm going to play around with controls a little bit here, see what we've got. That summon spirit, and let's see if I can pull this off. Remember that animation I told you to pay attention to? That's Hellfire. Also, as I mentioned, our stats were determined by the fight, so let's take a look at them. 70 hit points, 25 MP, and 55 hearts. Pretty respectable. This game uses button combinations in order to pull off skills and spells, as you can see there. I was a little confused at this point as to why my sword wasn't swinging, but hey, got an off-screen kill. It's mainly due to the mana consumption. I didn't realize that doing the little sword move would actually use mana, so there you go. This first hallway shouldn't really give us too much trouble, and here's Dark Metamorphosis, a favorite spell of mine. It will allow you to recover hit points if you get bled on, like so. However, that does also require that the enemy actually be able to bleed, and that you get the blood on you. And a level up. Going through this game a first time, you wouldn't think necessarily to smack a stone wall with a sword, but that's exactly what I do, and get rewarded with some pot roast. I'm not entirely sure who keeps leaving food in these walls, but I'm pretty sure I wouldn't be very interested in eating something that had been encased in stone for God knows how long. But it is a standing tradition of the Castlevania series, and I don't see it going away anytime soon. God bless the wall chicken. Or in this case, wall turkey.
Alucard, what is your business here?
I've come to put an end to this.
Still befriending mortals. I'll not ask you to return to our side, but I demand you cease your attack.
I will not.
You shall regret those words. We will meet again.
Well, we're naked. No equipment, no weapons. All we have is a neutron bomb and a couple of wall chicken. I'll probably be referring to that as wall chicken for a while now. I always thought that's what it looked like on the original NES, so even though it says it's mutton or whatever, I'm not buying it. It's wall chicken. Now we actually get to play the game, and all we can do is punch things. How about that? Watch your step. This little heart here is really easy to miss. Most people would just jump over the gap. Again, a lot of experience playing and replaying this game. There's probably going to be quite a bit of backtracking in this game, as that's one of the hallmarks of what has become called a Metroidvania style game, and this is the game that popularized it, so... Punch a skeleton. That little backdash there is a move I will practically forget exists. But we have a short sword now. Now let's see what else is to the left. Oops, can't go that way. I know we'll be back here, but I am going to show off pretty much all of the rooms even if I know what they are. And I'll also be trying to equip all the weapons even if I think they're kind of shit. The red rust is definitely a case in point here. The swing speed on it is terrible, and being a two-handed weapon... Ooh, that lockup. It just means that you can't really swing it all that efficiently. This is not the kind of weapon that you'd play with unless you were really, really confident you could kill things, and I'm just going to keep the sword for now. This is the first of our proper save points. I like that it encases you in a coffin that's like way, way too big for you. And let us continue. Up here normally are blood zombies, but they seem to be taking a holiday, so we can take a look at this relic that we just picked up. The Cube of Zoe. Causes items to materialize. Now we can get hearts and other items from the candles that are generously positioned around the place, and enter a new area. Welcome now to the Alchemy Lab. We'll be here quite a bit, and I'm going to show off how I fight in this game. Magic! Which is completely OP and broken. I don't need to get near an enemy when I can actually pull off a spell. Those little boomerang skeletons, or bone slingers, They're really not very powerful. And we have a hide curious. How curious indeed. But at least we have something protective now. And we can actually down the blood skeletons in one hit, which is going to be very helpful for me. Yeah, after I get a little bit stronger, that backdash, there's going to be no retreat. Just no retreat. And our first proper shield. That's one of the things I really do like about this game, is that it allows you to carry weapons both in your left and right hands, and you can actually choose which hand you equip it with, so you can have a left-handed Alucard if you want. I love level ups. This room has a couple of different ways to go, but we're just going to concentrate on what we can do to the right. See that little blood skeleton? See that elevator? There's a button down there. That button raises the elevator. That little blood skeleton has to die on that button. And he did. On the first try, no less. That is definitely a rarity. And this Bacillard, while a little bit weaker than the short sword we just picked up, it's pretty much my favorite weapon for starting out. And you're about to see why. Stabbity, stabbity. Yeah. Now, we couldn't get further into the room up there because it's blocked, and there's obviously a cannon on the other side. We'll be reaching that eventually, but this is the earliest that you can pick up the Bacillard. And use it to stab through walls. Because why not? Another heart up. That's always lovely. There are more secrets in the Alchemy Lab, which we'll get to eventually, and we have our first sub-weapon, the dagger. It costs 1 heart to fling 1 dagger, and it's pretty much my favorite early on. Very good against fleshy monsters, not so good against ones that are kinda hard armored. And the spittle from those bone spittles are capable of poisoning you, and I'd rather avoid that, so... Oh! I managed to pull off Tetra Spirit. Summon Spirit, Hellfire, Dark Metamorphosis, and Tetra Spirit. As I mentioned, these are the kinds of things that Konami has allowed you to do, as long as you have the mana for it and the button combos. And they are extremely helpful. In many cases, especially starting out, just 1 Summon Spirit is enough to deal with most of the larger enemies. It's not good enough to deal with my own stupidity, but it is good enough to deal with the enemies. You're probably going to see Alucard spaz a lot, because I do try to use magic a lot, particularly early on. But let's see what's this direction. I also gotta say that I just really love the soundtrack and the architecture that they put in here. Ooh, a cape. Yep, we're already looking much better off than we were, about 5 minutes ago, maybe? We have this nice, cool new cape, which does change the appearance of Alucard. Capes are actually the only thing other than weapons that really change in this game, so it is a little bit of a shame that some of the armor doesn't do that. I like when they go the extra mile on that. But hey, they have that really wicked, ghostly shadow following me, so there's that. I am playing this with a 360 controller, even though I do actually have the PlayStation available. I cannot record off of it, so we're just gonna have to deal with what we can. I will say that this is my own personal copy of Castlevania that I purchased many years ago. It is the Greatest Hits edition for PlayStation 1, and it's one thing that I really like to pull out every Halloween, and it's been kind of a tradition. And I love sharing it with people. And I also love saving frequently. It will restore your health and your MP, but it will not restore your hearts. So that is one thing that you have to collect on your own. I can't really imagine practically using this castle. Oh. I just picked up an axe. I mean, all these vertical corridors, they might look cool, but in practicality, I can't imagine who would be willing to clean this place. But then again, it is kind of a demonic castle. We'll come back to that glowing door later. And here is our first boss. Gabon and something else, I believe, are the names given, but at this point we can't actually tell what the names of our enemies are, so I'll have to look that up at a later date. Normally I like to have the dagger as my weapon, as my sub-weapon going in, but a combination of magic and some really good use of the... Ouch. Yeah, normally I get rid of the bone bird first, but I was not able to. Honestly, things could have gone better for me in this. But I got another level up. This game is being rather generous with that at this point. Given how many level ups I just got, I think I'm not really supposed to go through there that easily this early. Not that that was particularly my best showing, but just saying. Come here, you little bleeder. Another save point, never pass those up. As with any Final Fantasy, Castlevania game, you can only have one sub-weapon at a time, and there's a variety of them to choose from, but I am pretty boring when it comes to my choices. The dagger, while useful early game, is not something that I tend to keep on hand. I much prefer having the Holy Cross, or the Bible, actually, as my main sub-weapons. And in this very, very long hallway down, I just really like playing with the cape. Sunglasses. Fashionable. And apparently they bring up our defense. Going down. Next floor, locks, stocks, rocks, and barrels. Done. Start. Done. Start. Yeah, this is the kind of stuff I do to pass the time. Mature I am not. But hey, there's the roundabout I was telling you about. And that's where we'd normally pick up the Basilard if I hadn't already grabbed it. But given that you have to do that little button to get back up here, I'm just gonna head back up. Blah. Blah blah. Blah blah blah. Duck. Duck. Oh shit, I pushed down. When I have nothing better to do with myself, I will start spamming spells or just trying to do things. Hellfire again. Ah, that was the big version. When you disappear, if you hold the up button, you can get a super powerful version of the spell to execute, and that's what it looks like. The 3 fireballs will actually just stop at the first enemy they hit, or first object they hit, whereas the powered up version will go through walls and continue on without worrying about what it hits or what it doesn't. And of course it's more powerful, so why wouldn't you use that? Another trip to the save point. Oh, it's my favorite bleeders. I actually get a little bit sad when I get really powerful in the game because these guys just go down in one hit and I only get 8 health from them. Early on, I mean, you can see I can stab them like 3 or 4 times and it takes them that long to go down. What's this? Oh, prison. I think it's called a prison. Very good in tight quarters, not so much anywhere else. Ow. I should have known that was there. Potion, that should be useful. Well, I say it should be useful, but I very rarely think to use them. Later on in the game, there is a familiar that we can get, which is a fairy, and she can heal our boo-boos if we have stuff available. And those are Saint Ashes. Exciting. I'll keep the axe. And we are teased with yet another area. But first, let's finish up the rest of the room. I will be checking my map fairly frequently as well, just to make sure everything is going fine and I still know that I'm going in the right direction. I'm good at using maps, I'm just not good with directions sometimes. Well, let us carry on to the next area. That area being the Marble Gallery. I rather like the look of this area as well, but not so much the music. Maybe it's just because I'll be hearing this quite a bit in the future, but it's actually one of the more forgettable parts of the castle, which is kind of a shame. Still, it's going to be an important central hub at some point. Holy water does its job. Who knew? Ah! The knife. My favorite. You have returned to me. Die, Ouija table. Die. This game is very generous with its save points. You'd almost think this was a handheld game for how many there are. Speaking of, I actually do very much enjoy the handheld games that are sort of based on this, Aria of Sorrow being one of my favorites. These are the boomerang skeletons. Yeah, I know I'm missing the hearts, I just like the sound of the glass shattering. And the bones breaking. And I hate marionettes, they can die. Die, 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 die. In this area, I'll be trying to pull off either multiple summon spirits or Tetris spirits as often as I can. Something about those marionettes just sort of like... ugh. But we got a Night Shield. And that was just dropped off an enemy. Most enemies in this game have 2 items that they drop, although some of them don't have anything that they drop themselves. They will still nonetheless drop hearts and money occasionally, regardless of whether they have an official drop item or not. Just don't expect to get anything beyond that. And our next relic is right here. The Spirit Orb. Shows enemy damage. So now we can see how much we're hurting the monsters. Before we could only see what damage they applied to us. As many times as I've played this game, I've never really turned that relic off, although any of the relics can be turned off. So if you really want to make it kind of a challenge for you and not get any of the heart drops, you could do that. I really don't see any point to it. And here's a good example of how magic can be used to its fullest. You are invincible while you're casting that, which is really awesome, and as I said, that more powerful version, why not use it? Hey, Skelebuns! Do you miss me? No? Good, because I didn't miss you either. Stabbity stabbity. This hallway here, which snakes around, is full of ghosts, dollars, and a $250 bag. That's really the only thing worth it here. Those little ghosts, not so much. In this hallway, though, we've got a nice little Cthulhu Patagon. I'm not exactly sure what he's called offhand, but he goes down quick with the knives. Try messing around with him, though, and you can get your butt kicked. I know I have. And we have come once again to another little ring around the bend. Welcome back to the beginning of the game, folks. I could jump down to the left, and I will try to go to the right. With a little bit of speed and a little bit of finagling, it is possible to jump over to that right ledge, but you need the proper relics in order to pull it off. I lack those, however, so we're just going to save and then carry on. It's about this point in the playthrough that I had a little bit of trouble remembering exactly where I was going to go, so forgive me for pulling up the map from time to time just to make sure I'm on the right track. In a test play, I definitely got lost for quite a while, until I realized where I was supposed to go, and then I felt bad. Because I was a dumb. We'll try to not be a dumb, though. Lead. Lead. Left, right, center. I guess I decided to go this way. Oh yes, I tried the shortcut through the alchemy lab. Let's see how that works out for me. Now, there's nothing really remarkable to say about the Night Shield, per se. It just sort of exists. But I do try to duplicate my success with the Skelebongs. In the meantime, we're gonna save, because for some reason, I didn't go in here the first time. Maybe it's just because there's so many save points in this particular area, I just didn't realize it was there. And I was sort of single-mindedly trying to get up the ladder. The blood skeletons don't really have a lot of health or anything like that, but I have gotten to this point in the game, at least the first time, where the skeletons took at least 2 hits down. I actually feel kind of embarrassed when I'm that weak. Come on, Ellie! You can do it. My problem is I'm thinking about it too much. When I did it that first time, I was in the zone. Let this guy go through. That. Yeah, we'll just skip. That was a thing. Hopefully not a regular thing. I will warn you though, we're going to have a couple of sped up parts, at least in the early part of this, because there's a couple of weapons that I really want to get, and getting them means I'm going to have to grind. I will save you most of that grind, but Not all of it. There is a room up there as well, but that again requires the proper equipment to get there. At this point, I'm not entirely sure what I'm doing, except that I'm pretty sure I'm probably going the wrong way. Where I need to go is actually in the next area, I believe. I know these things. Oh, the Marble Gallery. See, I know these things when I see them in action. I just don't know them when I'm actually trying to think about them. Word's good. Yeah, we're just gonna keep the dagger. It has served us well so far. I'd say, hey, I'm getting better at doing those spirit spells, but as soon as I get comfortable with it, I'm gonna start sucking again. Stabbity stabbity. And here's the critical part that I missed before. Going up these steps. Oh, Fleaman. Bane of the existence of the Castlevania franchise. And a level up. Hey, the pipsqueaks were good for something.
Wait a moment. You seem human, and yet, what do you here?
I've come to destroy this castle.
Then we have the same purpose. I'll trust you for now. I'm Maria. Who are you?
Alucard.
Not the talkative type, I can see. Well, perhaps we'll meet again. If you live that long. Farewell.
I really love her confidence, if you live that long. Well, on to new areas. And more dead fleamen. One of the things about this area, or rather the area that we just came from, is that Clock Room has a secret, and it will actually require one of the sub-weapons in order to access. Unfortunately, it also requires a relic, and I wasn't sure if I'd be getting it anytime soon. So I will be trading out the dagger for the, watch, I believe it is. And a shield potion. Surprised it's not in a monster capsule. That will freeze any enemies on the screen and do certain things in certain areas. And of course the Holy Bible I mentioned was one of my favorites because it sort of puts a little bit of a shield around you. More demonic Ouija boards. What is the world coming to? If you might have guessed already, there are a couple of places to go down, but we'll be needing to open those up, and in order to open those up, we'll have to be getting through here. Just like that other room that we visited, there is a blue aura around the door. It is magically sealed, and magically delicious. I'll be forgetting I have shields too. The little back step is already starting to disappear from our repertoire. And there's the monster vial I was talking about. I have no idea what this creature is. I don't think I've ever heard of her, and I have yet to look up and see if it was actually a real thing in any sort of mythology. This game draws from practically everything though, so I wouldn't be surprised if it is a real creature, but dang! It's almost like a scorpion with a woman for its butt. And she does have a butt crack. Funny thing about a lot of the earlier games is they were censored to one degree or another, removing a lot of the nudity, but a lot of the statues in here, and so on and so forth, they got tits. Pixelated titties, but tits. Oh, come on. Those skulls will turn you to stone if you get hit by them, so I would rather avoid that. Making magic, again, my best friend when it comes to dealing with these guys. When your magic fully refreshes, you'll actually get a little bit of a blue aura around you and a sort of chiming sound to let you know that it's recovered. And now that we've hit the outer wall, we're definitely making some progress. That guy up there will hurt a lot, so we're going to deal with him the way that I've been dealing with everything so far. Magic! If I could pull it off. I told you Alucard would be a spouse case. Those guys are actually fairly late game enemies. Probably very good for experience, too. Yes, go for the Medusa. And a level up. That was actually very expected. As I said, those are pretty tough enemies, and being able to beat them, not a small feat. Stabbity stabbity. Now, I only recently learned about this, is that you can use this to get an elevator to go down to a lower level. This isn't the only thing in this room, if I can get it to work. Yep, kneeling is the key. The two items in this room, the Jewel Knuckle and the Mirror Curious, are amazing. Normally, I don't swap out the Basilard for a while, but that Jewel Knuckle has pretty good attack power. Unfortunately, it does bludgeoning damage. And, of course, a Mirror Curious with Medusas. Yeah, put 2 and 2 together there. That Mistgate is normally when we would actually be able to come here, and that equipment would actually be fairly paltry at that point. I'd always wondered why they put it there if you couldn't access it earlier. Well, I guess you can. So now we're immune to stone, and we have a fist weapon. And a very powerful fist weapon. Normally at this point I'm still using the Basilard, as I said. It's just a nice little stabby weapon. Ah, so what did we hear? A nice little birdie animation. I don't usually wait around for it to land, but it's just neat that they have that there. And through the mist and rain we see fish. I'm sure that was worth it. And now for something that's going to be a little bit silly, but I'm going to try and keep up with it if I can. Chair! Yep, for no discernible reason, Alucard can sit in practically any chair that's in the background. There's only one place where I can say that it has an actual effect, and I will definitely be drawing attention to it later. For now, let us start to climb back up the outer wall, and see what other goodies we can explore. Zircon. The jewels in this game are worth nothing but for selling. Selling to whom? Well, we'll find out shortly. I was going to use some magic on these guys, but I decided to test out how powerful the fist is, and 3 strikes, you're out! Also, chair. You know, it's got some nice decor with the skeleton over there. And the save point over here. Now we're coming up on the boss that I consider to be the most difficult in the early part of the game. You know, it's that boss. Meet our doppelganger. If you try to use magic against him, he's going to turn into mist. And he has pretty much any ability that you would normally have. And then some. Like knives. He is an enemy that bleeds, so using Dark Metamorphosis is actually not a bad idea. However, I am using a fist weapon, so that's completely useless. Hey, you can turn into a bat. I can't turn into a bat. Not now. But yeah, those few punches there, that was a lot easier way of downing him than I used to. He would mess me up. As usual, life up. Surely, though, that can't be all. Gladius. And the Gladius has 15 attack power. Yay. Just basically a standard sword. I didn't mean to do that. Most of the time I use the watch, I don't really mean to use the watch. You can try to jump after that chest, that little pot there, but it'll just drop you down. You have to be able to be a little bit smaller and a little bit more nimble to get that. And what have we here? Well, looks like a new area to me. Welcome now to the Long Library. Classical music, so comforting. And these little, I believe, Dullahams have the exact item that I actually want. And a level up. These guys possess a rapier. I have mercifully sped up the footage so you don't have to worry about waiting too long for me to actually get it. Hide Curious. We've already had one of those, and an Uncurse. Curse is a status which keeps you from using your attacks, at least your physical ones, but that's not really going to be much of a concern to me. And we've already leveled up again. Level 12, huh. And another. These guys are being really generous with the level ups. But at level 13, will it be my lucky level? Level up again. Well, since I'm getting so many level ups, I should mention that the experience that you gain from monsters kind of diminishes as you continue to level up. Eventually, low-level monsters are just really not worth your time. Well, they're not worth your time unless you're leveling up familiars, but that's gonna be a while. Alright. When are you guys gonna drop what I want? This took me about 5 minutes in real time, so you're getting definitely the shortened version. But 5 minutes is really not that bad. especially for a sweet, sweet rapier. Let's take a look at that. Well, after I find it in the inventory. There we go. It's not as powerful as the Jewel Knuckle physically, but it has some attributes which make up for that. And that's not it. There we go. Down, diagonal, forward, and attack does that. And that multi-strike is very powerful. The downside of the rapier, however, is that it is a very precise weapon otherwise. So when you're just swinging it normally, it has a fairly small hitbox. And we're already level 14. Well, let's explore this place now. I'm going to start with the bottom level and more fleamen. Yeah, I have no shame in using the techniques that I do. Takamitsu. We'll check that out after we've cleared these guys away. And the Takamitsu is another two-handed weapon. And this one is actually pretty terrible. It doesn't seem to have anything special going for it, so we're just going to keep the rapier for now. Fleamen, everybody's favorite. Yeah, see, a little bit hard to hit things sometimes. But at least we can get our health back. These guys bleed like stuck pigs. Bronze Curious. This is the point where we would actually get the armor that would be on par with the Mirror Curious, but we already have it. And normally that's what we'd get first. We will actually be returning to that room later once I've acquired another skill, because I have a secret. I really do wish I was a little bit more reliable with some of the spells. At times, this guy is going to feel like Michael Jackson the way that he's just going back and forth, especially with that moonwalk. These things are called ectoplasm, and they inflict the curse status. As you can see when I try to attack, nothing happens. However, it doesn't keep me from casting spells. These guys also have a pretty good chance of dropping the Uncurse, but we've already gotten a few from the chandeliers. The spell books here are a little bit on the annoying side, and actually it's a little annoying that I stopped time as well, because I really didn't actually want to do that, but we'll take advantage of it and just get past them. I'd say there's no point to actually fighting monsters, but that's completely untrue. You can get money, hearts, and the occasional item from them, as well as experience since there is a leveling system. In order to hit the plant down there, I would have had to have done a downstroke while jumping, but we just skipped over that. Because magic! And now we can actually see the names of our enemies. Magic tomes. Now if I can hit things worth a dang... Relic. Fairy Scroll. Displays enemy's name. So I wasn't pulling names out of my butt when I was saying the names of most of the enemies in here. They are actually what I called them. Duran. Okay, the Dullahans are elsewhere. Thornweed. There's a couple of places where I would have normally tried to jump up, but I know that's just not possible now. So we'll attempt that when we're better able to. If I was also a little bit more useful with the down diagonal, that would be better too, but oh well. Now our favorite character.
It's been a long time, old one.
Oh, it's you, Master Alucard. What do you need?
I need your help.
Young Master, I cannot aid one who opposes the Master.
You won't go unrewarded.
Really? In that case, just tell me what you need.
Oh! You can't oppose the master? I'll make it worth your while.
Thank you.
Yeah, those are not worth anything. Jewel of Open, though? That is a necessity item.
Thank you.
We have a little over 3,000 gold, but we're going to get the castle map, so...
Thank you.
I'd really like the Elven Cloak, but... it's always good to take out a library card or two. Even if you're in combat, you can use these to return right to the library, to this room as I recall. But that means all we can afford is the reverse cloak.
I'm interested in
He also acts as our bestiary. Dracula, Blood Skeleton. I'll be back late game in order to spend a little bit of time going through these in a little bit more detail, and hopefully with the ability to see what they drop, because I've already gotten most of it.
I'm interested in this.
I don't really know why he sells you tactics, other than to maybe show you an easier way of destroying things, but what you gonna do? The reverse cloak. And what does it do? Well, it's a different color. And we now have a system setting. Cloak lining reverse. Oh yeah. We're now sporting purple with blue lining instead of blue with purple lining. Or not. I don't really know what the reasoning is for that, but I'll take it. It also does have better defense than what we had. Spellbooks. Yep. Yeah, you can kind of see there's something up there, but we can't get to that yet. Yeah, even without being able to pull it off, the rapier still has a decent attack power for this point in the game. Now, when we get to a very late part of the game, this is going to be my favorite spot. Rather, the inverted castle. Anybody who's played this game at least once should have probably come to an ending which was somewhat unsatisfactory. But there is a second part of this, and it's basically the same castle, but upside down and reverse. The inverted castle has a much stronger set of enemies in it, and of course the true ending is unlocked by exploring it all. But the inverted library, that's where we're going to get the good stuff. And once I'm there, well, if I haven't already become walking death at that point, I sure will be. A little foggy out in the castle today, wouldn't you say? I don't remember if this fog is necessarily intentional at this point, or if it's something that's just a random effect. Hey, $400, I could use that. I just spent all my money on a cloak. And a couple of library cards. Now, this particular elevator has something we want, but we can't get to just yet. Instead, we'll check this out. This is the first warp. Notice the little scorpion at the top. And now there's a horse. Where does this lead? The beginning of the game, and that wall we couldn't go through before. Looks like Alucard had a little trouble standing on that. Oh, you blood zombies. Bleed. Bleed on me. See, he only bled on me once. Check out my map, see where I want to go. Because we actually do have a few options now, because we just bought the Jewel of Open. And it looks like we're going to go back to the Scorpion, because that's the only warp open to us. And we're going to continue climbing this thing. Another big guy. Again, more of those sort of late game common, but early game not so much. And here I am totally spazzing out, trying to pull off a really powerful spell, and failing miserably at it. Well, that'll help with the Medusas, but not so much this guy. Come on, you can do some summon spirits or something. Touch a spirit, anything. This is playing for an audience skills. You know you can do it. It's just not happening. The only spell I have yet to pull off in this playthrough so far is a spell called Soul Steal. It's very powerful, but also fairly difficult. There are a couple of other spells, I believe, Sword Brothers being one of them, but that one has some prerequisites before it can be used. And here's probably the worst grind that I am ever going to have. The Medusa grind. I will meet you on the other side of this, but just know that this was chopped down from over a half hour's worth of video. The first time I tried doing a test play on it, it took me 2 hours to kill enough of these things to get them to drop the item I wanted. In that time, I gained 2 levels at 1 experience per Medusa head, so I killed over 1,400 Medusa heads trying to get a Medusa shield. I do sometimes play with them by using different weapons, spells, or otherwise, but yeah, this was not the fun part. But beyond the Medusa head and at least one more enemy I need to fight in this area, or rather an upcoming area, we won't be doing the grind. Everything else will pretty much be coming from stuff we can actually find within the castle, unless there's just something I kind of want as an extra Omaki thing, and in which case, I'll just be taking a look at it from the sub-menu from here on. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Medusa shield. No, yeah, I didn't pick it up, but I did because editing. And as you see, it's actually got 1 point more than the Jewel Knuckle, actually. A shield with an innate attack power? Why, yes. Yes, we do have one. It's not very useful against its own kind, but just holding it attacks. And now that the elevator is clear, we can go check out what was below. Oh! Well, we picked up the form of the wolf. And then we just shot right back up the elevator. It occurs to me I should probably show it off. Soul of Wolf. Transform into wolf. Sounds simple enough. Aw, my little bark hurts things. We're going to be able to use this form to get into a few places that we couldn't go before, and do things we couldn't do before. But we were starting our trip up the wall, so it's only right that we actually continue. And we'll keep the Bible for now. A save point. And onward to our next adventure. Let us now enter the clock tower. Traditionally in Castlevania games, this is pretty much one of the quintessential areas to go through, and usually one of the biggest headaches. And it has some of the sweetest music. Listen to that tragic prince. Oh, those sweet guitar riffs wash over me. And as you can see, when I'm actually reliable with it, that rapier is really kicking a bunch of ass. Or in this case, chipping some skulls. Unfortunately, there's not really a whole lot that we can do here right now, so we are going to have to cut our time here short. But I will try to get through as much as I can until we have to retreat. Given that we have a new form, we do have some stuff that we can do, however. And if I'm not mistaken, there's still a couple of places we haven't yet explored with the new trinkets that we do have. There may even be another door, if I recall correctly, that we could go through. You won't surprise me, breakaway floors. I am surprised at how many levels I'm gaining, though. Either I'm just not meant to be here, or I'm just kicking that much butt. I like to think it's because I kick butt. I know that's not true, though. Dear God, that musical track. I think that's called Symphony X, which is actually also the name of a band who has music which is actually similar to that. I'm wondering if that's coincidental or on purpose. I'm not entirely sure. What I am sure of, though, is that other than one more weapon, I can pretty much continue without having to do any grind. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention that we got the, having now got the castle map, we can see a bunch of places that we couldn't go before. Of course, being that this is a Castlevania game, there's plenty of hidden rooms to explore regardless, or places that are just plain old not shown on the map. And while most games would be content with 100%, this game has 200%. And in fact, it has more than 200%. I think some of your completion might be linked to the items that you get, because I can't imagine any other way that I would get different scores even though I seem to have gotten the same areas unlocked. But technically there's more than that too, because the Sega Saturn version of the game actually did have another set of rooms that we will not be able to explore. Good doggy. I did try to get the little jar over there, but I don't think I can quite make it. Nope. I will still bark at things. Bark, bark. If I can, I'll see about finding the other castle map and maybe imposing it over here somewhere so you can see some of the rooms that we won't be exploring. Another thing I heard about the Sega Saturn version but have yet to verify is that Maria Renard is actually playable. By the way, even if I do remove the Mirror Curious, I will still be immune to stone because of the Medusa Shield. Another reason that I like to get it early and keep it with me through the game. Oh, sure, there's other statuses I could get, like Curse, but as we've already established, that's not really going to be much of a problem when I can still spell my way out of a jam. There's no way I'm going to be able to pronounce that. I'm sorry, guys. Diplocephalus? You know what? I think I'm going to check that out and see if I can't find out what the heck that is. Aha! Yes. Now I'm sure of it. The way forward is backward. And now that we've stepped on that switch, we've opened up a couple of doors. Or rather, pathways. I suppose they're staircases, in a loose sense. It does feel good just being able to walk through enemies. So, what have we got down here? Library card. Attack potion. Nothing too fancy. But there's at least one other way that we can go. I just have to find it. And we found it. Now to leave the marble gallery. And enter the underground caverns. I can't quite reach that. These spearmen are a little bit troublesome, but nothing we can't handle. I say as I get beaten up. But oh look, another one of those generous save points. Well, I've got a Medusa shield, so I'm really happy. So let's just do a little bit of show and tell here. Show off what we've got in the way of relics and everything, and Hopefully next time I'll be able to get a little bit further without taking so much time just backtracking and doing other things. Show off. Oh yeah, I did finally pull off Soul Steal. So I will attempt to execute each of the spells here while we're at a stopping point, and hope you'll join me next time when I dive even deeper into Castlevania. I am sorry it is so late, and I wish I had been able to get it out there in time for Halloween, but schedules being what they are, it seemed like every time I was ready to record, something came up. But you lovely people on the internet, have a great day, and I hope to see you next time. Sonic Rose, out.